Stop me if you've heard this one before, but are we witnessing the end of this iteration of the Toronto Maple Leafs? The Leafs entered Game 4 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinals against the rival Boston Bruins with a golden chance in front of them to even the series at 2 games apiece. They got good news before the game as well, with William Nylander finally entering the series after missing the first 3 games with an undisclosed illness/injury. And for other home fans, a prime opportunity for the Leafs to bounce back from a close Game 3 loss. And what do? Only put out the worst performance by any team in the playoffs this year, and it's not even close. I mean, this was Murphy's Law in full effect. Everything that can go wrong for the Leafs did go wrong for the Leafs. Ilya Samsonov lets in a softy goal, which every Caps fan knew that was coming eventually. They get 3-man advantages in the first period, but their power play is absolutely anemic, 1 for 14 in the playoffs so far, and their big guns just do not come through. Nylander is still clearly not fully recovered from whatever was holding him back. Matthews was absolutely ineffective out there, although, to be fair, he left before the third period due to an illness, so it must have been pretty severe. The captain, John Tavares, was absolutely invisible out there. And then there's Mitch Marner, who has become the whipping boy for this franchise, to the point that on the broadcast, Biz was pointing out some of the low-effort plays that Marner was putting out on tape in a crucial game of the playoffs. And if you want a real kick in the groin, Marner was actually the Leafs' best offensive player this game. He scored their only goal, and in terms of expected goals for, he was eons ahead of every other player on the Leafs. As I mentioned, Austin Matthews had to leave before the third period, leaving Leafs fans in an even bigger conniption. Although given the fact that it's an illness, he probably will be good to go in Game 5. But the real issue is just the body language and the attitude that we saw on the bench. Obviously, that clip that went viral is drawing a lot of attention, but even on the ice, Leafs players just did not seem engaged. They didn't seem focused. It got to the point that Leafs fans were booing their power play, booing them off the ice at the end of the second period. And with the Leafs now 1 game away from elimination, the questions have all come out. Obviously, Mitch Marner is the big whipping boy for most of Leafs Nation. They all want him traded in the offseason, even though he has a massive contract with 1 year left and a no-movement clause, so that's easier said than done. Tavares is also getting his share of criticism, as fans are wondering where the captain's calming presence is. He's a veteran on this team, and they just seem to be completely spiraling right now. And of course, the man behind the bench, Sheldon Keefe, is coming under fire. He just signed a 2-year extension in the offseason that's keeping him as the Maple Leafs head coach through 25-26. A move that I was not in favor of at the time and is looking worse and worse by the moment. I don't know if Leafs brass is going to be willing to eat that money to fire Keefe, but it looks like that's a very strong possibility, especially after a game like this. And look, the series isn't over. Teams have come back from 3-1 deficits before, but this game just has the feeling of one that is either going to be the final nail in the coffin of this era of Toronto Maple Leafs hockey, or the final game before the inflection point where the Leafs finally show that this team and this core is capable of postseason success.